Hello everybody. Tourbox released version 2.1 and I wanted to share the update with you. This is the thing that I've been waiting for since my first impression review of Tourbox. Now, just as a quick reminder, if you didn't watch the first video, I strongly recommend checking it out. I do a full overview of the Tourbox, the console, and also the app and my thoughts on it. And one of my biggest complaints was it doesn't automatically switch between apps, right? You have to manually set a button to switch it or just manually switch it yourself. I also found that some of the presets didn't align exactly, and after some back and forth with Tourbox, they gave me some guidance as to how they configured things. So I want to share with you what is new in version 2.1 and some other things like that. So first things first, when you install version 2.1, you're going to have to go through a firmware update process. It's very straightforward. It walks you through it. Very easy. And then you just unplug Tourbox, the console, and then plug it back in, and you're all up to date. Second thing is turn on auto switching. Turn on auto switching. You go to link, and then all you have to do is open up your software, right? So I'm opening up Lightroom. And once this goes away, you'll see Lightroom popped in here. We choose Lightroom and done. Now Lightroom is linked, okay? And now if I go to Photoshop, let's just open Photoshop for the sake of opening Photoshop. And we want to link Photoshop. You can see Photoshop is here, and now that is linked as well. I'm not going to open Final Cut Pro or Affinity Photo, but that would also be the case here. So if I was to go to Photoshop, right now, it would be using the Photoshop. You can see here the heads-up display has adjusted to the Photoshop heads-up display. If I was to switch back to Lightroom, once Lightroom it loads, it's still loading. But if I was to switch back to Lightroom once Lightroom loads, you can see right here that it has switched back to the Lightroom mode automatically. So beautifully, Tourbox is now doing exactly what I wished it was doing before. I wished that it was automatically switching, and now it is. So the next thing I want to do is walk through again the preset that they have for Lightroom built in. And I want to see if everything matches up now, because I found that it was not matching up before. And so let's see what happens. Okay, so if I go for the big button and turn the knob, it's going to adjust the sharpening. You can see the sharpening is getting sharper. That is as expected. If I was to grab the small button, the short button, it should be the vignette, and you can see it is the vignette. And by the way, this is a self-portrait of myself many years ago. From 2014 at an abandoned mill in Massachusetts. Now if I go to the scroll, and then I can adjust the hue from there. I'm on orange. Let's go yellow. If you look down here, let me scroll down a little bit. You'll see that right now yellow is adjusting. And if I was to go to green, I can adjust green. And purple. And then I can even click to say, okay, let's do saturation of magenta or purple. And basically I could, you can see that some of me is getting very, very, very monotone. All right, let's reset this. Let's see what else. This is back to tint. Still on tint. Now it's saying prime 4 section. If I hit the side, side is tint. Top is temperature. That's working. Tall is exposure. Good. Short is contrast. The half circle tour button is to reset the selected slider. Ah, there we go. And then up, we got highlights. Down, we got shadows. Left, we got whites. Let's recover some of that outside. And then right is blacks. So here's the thing I'm finding with the Tourbox, and this is what they explained to me. Some of these are actually buttons you have to hold. For example, the up-downs, I have to hold it and turn the dial. Whereas to change, for example, exposure, I just have to click the tall button once, and then I can move the dial to move it up and down. So not everything is hold a button and turn. Some of it is push a button and then turn. And I think that's where it gets a little confusing, and I think that's where they could be a little clearer. They've got this heads-up display, which I don't really find too useful because it's only showing me 4 things, no matter what. So if I hit the exposure button, it's only showing me that. I wish that it kind of showed me the full thing just in a small view instead of just the 4 buttons. For example, I wish that it showed me this, but with what each thing does, and more like the heads-up display rather than a full graphic. The reason for that is because I don't know if things are push or hold or what. So that is where my confusion comes in. It's not the Tourbox. The preset was not doing, the Lightroom preset was not doing the wrong thing. It was that it wasn't very clear to me that I had to either push or hold certain things. And that's where they cleared it up for me through email back and forth once they heard my thoughts on it. So far, now that I know about how these buttons work, or whether it's push or hold, and now that they have the automatic switching, by the way, let's just go to Photoshop and you'll see again, it's switching. So let's just create a document. You can see right here. If I go to Photoshop and then let's see, what can I find that is brush opacity mode? So let's go here and make the brush a little bigger. You can see that. And now brush opacity mode, if I go big and then I can adjust, you can see the over here in Photoshop, it's getting the feathering. If I hold, I can now do the opacity. So let's say let's go bigger. Right? So now that, and then make it darker, and then make it darker, and we can make it lighter. So that is working as well. And that's a press and hold versus a push. So if I was to push, it does command, right? If I am to do the top button, it's actually a shift. If I'm to do the tall button, it's alt. If I'm to do the short button, it's space, like drag things around. So you can see that it switched back and forth. If I close Photoshop, don't save, we're going to switch right back to Lightroom. Right here. Now I'm in Lightroom again. And you can see it's showing right up here that it switched back to Lightroom. So it's working really well. I love the auto switching. So this was just an update on Tourbox, the app, the hardware, how it works, whether it's push or hold or things like that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.